Don't worry, God will take care of you. Life's storms are real, but His love is stronger. When fear knocks, trust grows. Surrender your worries and watch peace replace anxiety. God's timing is perfect. He knows your path. Rest in His care and find strength for every challenge. Life is full of uncertainties. It's a reality that every single person faces, regardless of who they are, where they come from, or what they believe. From the moment we wake up until we close our eyes at night, the path ahead is often unclear and unpredictable. We plan, prepare, and try to control what we can, but so many things remain beyond our grasp. Sometimes this uncertainty is small, a missed appointment or a change in weather. Other times it's enormous and life-altering, illness, job loss, or the loss of a loved one. This unpredictability can make us feel vulnerable and anxious. It can stir up a deep fear inside us because we naturally want stability and security. We want to know what's coming next so we can feel safe. But the truth is, life doesn't guarantee that. In fact, one of the only guarantees is that uncertainty will come knocking on our door, whether we invite it or not. Despite this, uncertainty isn't necessarily something to fear or avoid. It can actually be an opportunity for growth. When life doesn't go as planned, it pushes us out of our comfort zones and forces us to adapt. It invites us to develop resilience, creativity, and faith. In those moments of not knowing, we learn to rely on something greater than ourselves. The thing is, we often try to pretend like we have everything under control. We make lists, schedules, and backup plans. We want to believe that if we just work hard enough or plan well enough, we can eliminate uncertainty. But life isn't a perfect machine, and it never will be. No matter how much we prepare, surprises will come. Sometimes those surprises challenge us to our core. When uncertainty hits, our minds can easily spiral into worry and fear. We imagine the worst, we doubt ourselves, and we ask, what if I fail? Or what if something terrible happens? This fear of the unknown can paralyze us, stopping us from moving forward. But here's the beautiful truth. Uncertainty is also a space where faith can grow. It's in those uncertain moments that we have a choice. Do we trust our own limited understanding, or do we trust something bigger than ourselves? Learning to live with uncertainty means learning to embrace the mystery of life. It means understanding that not everything will be clear or easy, but that doesn't mean we're alone. It means believing that even when we can't see the road ahead, there is guidance and care surrounding us. It's about holding on to hope when the future looks uncertain, knowing that this moment, this challenge is part of a bigger story. Uncertainty teaches us humility because it reminds us that we don't have all the answers. It teaches us patience because sometimes the answers come slowly. It teaches us courage because we have to keep going, even when the path isn't clear. And most importantly, it teaches us to rely on a source of peace that isn't shaken by the unknown, a source that can calm our hearts no matter what storms we face. Life will always be full of uncertainties, but that doesn't mean we have to live in fear. Instead, we can choose to live in trust and hope, knowing that even when the way is unclear, we are cared for and we are not alone. Worry is something that comes naturally to all of us. It's a response our minds have developed to help us anticipate potential dangers or problems. When we face uncertainty or challenges, worry creeps in like a shadow, trying to warn us, to prepare us for what might go wrong. It's almost automatic. When something feels uncertain or risky, our thoughts race, imagining all the possible negative outcomes. This reaction in itself is not bad. It shows that we care deeply about our lives, our loved ones, and our futures. It's a way our brain tries to protect us. But here's the catch. While worry is natural, it is not productive. The problem with worry is that it often doesn't actually solve anything. When we worry, we spend a lot of time imagining scenarios that may never happen. We build up fear and anxiety over what-ifs instead of focusing on what we can do. This mental energy gets stuck in a loop of negativity, trapping us rather than freeing us to act. Worry can make us feel overwhelmed, exhausted, and sometimes even paralyzed. Instead of helping us prepare, it robs us of peace and clarity. One of the biggest challenges with worry is that it blurs our ability to think clearly. When our minds are clouded with anxious thoughts, we struggle to make decisions or take positive steps forward. It becomes harder to see solutions because we're caught up in the fear of problems. Worry distracts us from the present moment, pulling our attention into an uncertain future that hasn't arrived yet. The irony is that many of the things we worry about never actually happen. We suffer in advance over situations that may never come to pass, and in doing so, we miss out on the peace and joy that exist right now. Even more than being unproductive, worry can negatively affect our health. Chronic worry raises stress levels, which can lead to physical symptoms like headaches, trouble sleeping, muscle tension, and a weakened immune system. Over time, this can contribute to more serious health issues. So while worry feels like a way to prepare, it often ends up harming us instead. It's like trying to fix a problem by pouring fuel on a fire. The truth is, worry doesn't have the power to change outcomes. It can't rewrite the past, and it can't control the future. What worry does do is steal our focus and peace in the present. Instead of wasting time and energy on worry, a more productive response is to acknowledge the uncertainty, but then choose to act with faith and hope. When we shift our mindset away from worry and toward trust in our abilities, trust in the process, or trust in a higher power, we open ourselves up to clarity and calm. This doesn't mean we pretend everything is perfect or that we ignore problems. It means we accept that worry won't fix things and instead focus on what we can do right now. We plan where possible, take practical steps, and then let go of the rest. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing control over what we cannot change and finding peace in the present moment. Worry is a natural reaction, but it's not a helpful one. It keeps us stuck in fear and doubt instead of moving forward with confidence and peace. Learning to recognize when worry is creeping in and gently redirecting our thoughts toward hope, faith, and action is one of the most important steps we can take to live a healthier, more peaceful life. In the end, worry drains us, but trust restores us. Faith is the antidote to worry because it offers a way out of the endless cycle of fear and anxiety that worry creates. When we worry, our minds often fixate on all the things that could go wrong, and this keeps us trapped in a state of uncertainty and distress. But faith steps in as a powerful force that shifts our perspective. Instead of focusing on what might happen, faith directs our attention to what we know to be true, something steady, reliable, and unchanging, even when circumstances seem unstable. Faith doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist. Rather, it means choosing to believe in a bigger picture beyond our immediate struggles. It's a conscious decision to trust that no matter how difficult life may seem, there is a purpose and a plan that we may not fully understand right now. This trust brings peace because it allows us to rest in the assurance that we are not alone and that someone greater is in control. It's like anchoring a ship in a storm. While the waves rage and the wind howls, the ship remains steady because of its anchor. One of the reasons faith is such a powerful antidote is because it changes how we relate to our worries. When we have faith, we no longer see challenges as insurmountable obstacles, but as part of a journey that is being guided by a loving hand. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we begin to ask, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow?" This shift in mindset opens the door to hope and courage, which weaken the grip of worry. Faith also helps us focus on the present moment rather than being consumed by what might or might not happen in the future. Worry tends to pull us forward into a future filled with what-ifs, but faith brings us back to today, reminding us that each day has its own strength and that we can face whatever comes one step at a time. This focus on the present allows us to take practical steps forward without being overwhelmed by fear of the unknown. Moreover, faith builds resilience. When we trust that there is meaning beyond our immediate difficulties, we find the strength to endure hard times without falling apart. Faith doesn't promise that life will be easy, but it does promise that we will not be abandoned or forgotten in the midst of our struggles. This promise provides a deep well of comfort and reassurance that worry cannot touch. It's important to remember that faith is not a one-time decision, but a daily choice. Worry may return, but faith calls us to return to trust again and again. It invites us to lean into the certainty of something bigger, even when our feelings tell us otherwise. Through prayer, reflection, or simply choosing to focus on the good and the hopeful, faith can gradually replace worry with peace. In essence, faith transforms our relationship with worry. It doesn't erase the challenges or make the problems disappear, but it does give us a new way to face them with confidence, peace, and hope. When worry threatens to overwhelm, faith reminds us that we are cared for, protected, and that ultimately all will be well. This is why faith is not just comforting, it's the true antidote to worry. God's care is personal and intentional because it goes beyond a general or distant concern. It is not a vague, impersonal force that operates without awareness or direction. Instead, God's care is deeply focused on each individual, understanding their unique needs, fears, hopes, and circumstances. This care is not accidental or random. It is deliberate and purposeful, tailored to each person's life with a loving and attentive heart. When we think about care in human terms, it often involves attention, thoughtfulness, and a willingness to act for someone's benefit. God's care embodies all of these qualities, but on a much deeper level. It's the kind of care that knows the number of hairs on your head, the moments that bring you joy, and the challenges that weigh heavily on your heart. This level of detail shows that God's care is intimate. It's not care from afar or care given only when convenient. It's constant and all-encompassing. God's care is also intentional, meaning there is purpose behind every act of care. It's not just about watching from the sidelines, but actively working in your life to guide, protect, and provide. This intentionality reflects a commitment to your well-being and growth. Every moment of provision, every answered prayer, every lesson through hardship, and every whisper of comfort is purposeful. God is not passive, but actively involved in your life, shaping and directing circumstances for your good. This personal and intentional care means that no situation is too small or too big to be noticed. Whether you're struggling with a major crisis or simply feeling lonely on an ordinary day, God's care is present. It reaches into the details of your everyday life, offering peace, strength, and hope exactly where you need it. This kind of care reassures us that we are never forgotten or overlooked, no matter how insignificant we might sometimes feel. Another aspect of God's personal care is that it meets us where we are. It's not based on our achievements, our perfection, or how deserving we think we are. God's care is given freely, motivated by love rather than obligation or condition. This means that even when we fail, stumble, or doubt, God's care remains steadfast. It's a care that forgives, restores, and encourages, always seeking to lift us up rather than push us down. The intentionality of God's care also shows in the timing and method of how things unfold in our lives. Sometimes answers to prayers come quickly, other times they take longer, but there is always purpose behind the waiting. This careful orchestration shows that God's care is wise and knowing. It's like a gardener who prunes and waters plants with great care, knowing exactly what each plant needs to grow strong and healthy. Ultimately, understanding that God's care is personal and intentional brings immense comfort. It shifts our perspective from feeling like a small part of a chaotic world to realizing that we are deeply known, valued, and cared for by a loving Creator. This truth invites us to rest in that care, to trust in the purposeful love behind it, and to find peace amid life's uncertainties, knowing that God's attention is on us every step of the way. Surrendering your worries to God is one of the most freeing and transformative choices you can make. It means releasing the heavy burden of anxiety and fear that often weighs down your heart and mind. Worry has a way of making us feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, struggling alone to control every outcome. But surrender is the act of handing those burdens over to someone who is greater than us. A loving God who understands every detail of our lives and desires to bring peace and healing. When you surrender your worries to God, you are acknowledging that there are limits to what you can control. It's an honest admission that no matter how hard you try, some things are simply beyond your power. This surrender doesn't mean giving up or being passive. Rather, it is an active step of trust. It's a decision to stop fighting alone and to invite God into the situation with full confidence that He cares and will work things out according to His perfect plan. Many people struggle with surrender because it feels like losing control. We want to hold on tightly to our plans, our ideas, and our sense of security. But true freedom comes when we loosen our grip and allow God to take the lead. Surrender invites us to shift from anxiety to peace, from fear to faith. It's like laying down a heavy backpack after a long, exhausting climb. You realize you don't have to carry it all by yourself anymore. Surrendering also means being honest with God about what's troubling you. It's not about hiding your worries or pretending everything is fine. You bring your fears, doubts, and questions openly to God because He welcomes them. This honesty creates space for healing and peace to grow. God doesn't ask for perfect faith, but for real, honest hearts willing to trust Him even when the path is unclear. When you surrender your worries, you also open yourself up to receive God's peace. Peace that surpasses human understanding. This peace is not dependent on changing circumstances, but comes from knowing you are cared for deeply and that God is in control. It guards your heart and mind, protecting you from the storms of life and the unrest that worry brings. Surrender is not a one-time event, but a daily choice. Worries may return, doubts may creep in, but surrender invites you to bring them back to God again and again. It's like returning to a safe harbor where you find rest and strength to face whatever comes next. This ongoing surrender strengthens your faith and deepens your relationship with God, helping you grow in trust and confidence. Finally, surrendering your worries to God is an invitation to live in freedom. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of fear and doubt and invites you into a life marked by hope, peace, and joy. It's a reminder that you are not alone, that your burdens can be shared, and that God's loving hands are ready to carry you through every challenge. When you surrender your worries, you step into a deeper experience of God's care, grace, and unwavering presence. God works through difficulties for your good, even when it's hard to see or understand. Life's challenges often feel overwhelming, unfair, and painful. When problems arise, whether they are personal struggles, loss, disappointment, or unexpected setbacks, it's natural to question why these things happen. But beneath the surface of every hardship, there is a deeper purpose that God is working out. He uses difficulties not to harm us, but to shape us, to strengthen us, and to prepare us for something greater. Difficulties have a way of exposing what's hidden inside us. They reveal our weaknesses, fears, and areas where we need to grow. God doesn't cause these troubles, but He allows them to refine us like gold in a fire. Just as gold becomes purer and stronger when tested by heat, our character is refined through life's challenges. Painful experiences teach us patience, endurance, humility, and compassion, qualities that can only develop when we face struggle. Through this refining process, God molds us into the people we are meant to become. When we face difficulties, it's easy to feel alone or abandoned, but the truth is that God is closest to us in those moments. He walks with us through the valleys and never leaves our side. Even in the darkest times, He is working behind the scenes to bring about good. Sometimes this good might not look like what we expected. It might mean growing stronger in faith, developing new wisdom, or gaining a fresh perspective that changes our future. Other times, it might mean opportunities opening up that wouldn't have appeared without the struggle. Difficulties also teach us to rely more on God. When everything is smooth and easy, it's tempting to depend solely on ourselves. But hardship humbles us and reminds us that we are not in control of everything. It pushes us to seek God's guidance, to pray more earnestly, and to trust in His plan. This reliance deepens our relationship with God and strengthens our faith. We learn that even when life doesn't make sense, God's love and purposes remain constant. Another way God works through difficulties is by using them to impact others. Our struggles can become a source of encouragement for people who face similar challenges. When we share our experiences and how God helped us through, we offer hope and comfort. This builds a community of support where pain is transformed into purpose. Difficulties often connect us in ways that joy alone cannot. It's important to remember that God's timing and ways are not always what we expect. Sometimes the good that comes from difficulty is delayed or hidden for a season. This can be frustrating, but God's plan is perfect and comprehensive. What feels like a setback today may be the very thing that prepares you for a breakthrough tomorrow. Trusting in God's wisdom means believing that all things, even hardship, work together for good. Ultimately, the promise that God works through difficulties for your good is a source of hope and courage. It means that your pain is not wasted, your struggles are not meaningless, and your life is being shaped by a loving hand. No matter what you face, God's care is present, and He is turning every challenge into an opportunity for growth, blessing, and transformation. This truth invites you to keep trusting, keep moving forward, and keep believing that good is on the way. Peace comes from confident hope, not circumstances, because true peace isn't about what's happening around us, but about what's steady and sure within us. Life is unpredictable, sometimes chaotic, sometimes overwhelming. We can't always control what comes our way, whether it's problems at work, struggles in relationships, health concerns, or unexpected setbacks. If peace depended on circumstances being perfect or favorable, none of us would ever truly experience it. There will always be something outside of us that challenges our sense of calm. But peace that comes from confident hope goes deeper. It is rooted in the belief that no matter what, things will be okay because of the promises and character of God. When peace is based on circumstances, it's fragile and temporary. One bad day, one piece of bad news, or one difficult conversation can shatter it. This kind of peace is like a house built on sand. It can't stand against storms. But peace born from confident hope is like a house built on solid rock. It's steady because it doesn't rely on changing events, but on a foundation that won't move. That foundation is trust in something greater than ourselves, something unshakable. Confident hope means trusting that even when life is hard or confusing, there is a good plan at work. It's the assurance that difficulties are temporary and that better days lie ahead. This hope isn't blind optimism or pretending that problems don't exist. It's a deep conviction that something bigger and better is at work, even when we can't see it clearly. It's a confident expectation rooted in faith that gives us peace in the midst of trials. When we hold on to this hope, peace becomes an inner experience rather than an external one. It quiets our anxious thoughts and settles our restless hearts. It protects us from despair and discouragement because we know that no matter how stormy life gets, it won't last forever. This peace allows us to face challenges without being overwhelmed by fear or doubt. It helps us stay calm, make wise decisions, and even find joy in difficult moments. The key to experiencing peace through hope is learning to shift our focus from what we can't control to what we can trust. Instead of worrying about outcomes or trying to fix everything ourselves, we place our confidence in God's faithfulness. This doesn't mean problems vanish or pain disappears immediately, but it means we don't carry them alone. We have a source of strength and peace to lean on, and that changes everything. Peace that comes from confident hope also influences how we live day to day. It shapes our attitudes, actions, and relationships. When we are rooted in this hope, we respond to difficulties with patience and grace. We encourage others and share the peace we've found. Our hope becomes a light in dark places, showing others that peace is possible even in tough times. In the end, peace is not about controlling life's circumstances, but about trusting God through them. It's a choice to believe in His goodness and sovereignty despite what we face. This peace guards our hearts and minds, keeps us steady, and fills us with quiet confidence. It is a peace that doesn't depend on what happens around us, but on the hope we carry within. God's timing is perfect even when it feels like things are delayed or not happening as we expect. In a world that values speed and immediate results, waiting can be incredibly difficult. We want answers now, solutions now, and relief now. When life doesn't move on our schedule, it's easy to grow impatient, frustrated, or even doubt that anything good will come at all. But trusting in God's timing means believing that He knows exactly when things should happen, and that His sense of timing is far wiser and better than our own. One of the reasons God's timing is perfect is because He sees the bigger picture. While we live moment to moment, God sees the past, present, and future all at once. He understands how all the pieces fit together in ways we cannot comprehend. What might seem like a delay or a setback to us may actually be a necessary step for something greater to develop. Sometimes God's timing allows circumstances to align perfectly, relationships to mature, or lessons to be learned before a blessing arrives. This broader vision means that the right thing at the right time can bring more lasting joy, growth, and fulfillment than anything rushed or forced. God's timing is also perfect because it is filled with love and care. He doesn't withhold blessings out of cruelty or indifference, but waits because He knows what is best for us. Sometimes the waiting period is about protecting us from things we aren't ready for or giving us strength and patience to endure. Other times it's about preparing our hearts so that when the blessing comes, we can receive it fully and appreciate it deeply. God's perfect timing considers not only what we want, but what we truly need for our good. Waiting on God's timing helps develop qualities like faith, patience, and trust. When we don't see immediate results, it challenges us to rely more fully on God rather than our own understanding. This waiting period becomes an opportunity to grow spiritually and emotionally. We learn to surrender control, to pray with expectation but also with humility, and to believe that God is working behind the scenes even when we don't see it. This process strengthens our relationship with God and deepens our faith, making the eventual fulfillment of His promises even sweeter. Another important aspect of God's perfect timing is that it teaches us to be content and hopeful in the present. Instead of constantly rushing toward the future or dwelling on unmet desires, trusting God's timing invites us to live fully in the moment. It reminds us that each season of life has purpose and value, even if it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. Contentment grows from the confidence that God is in control and that His plan is unfolding exactly as it should. When we look back on life, we often realize that things happened at exactly the right time. Moments that once seemed like delays or disappointments were actually blessings in disguise or necessary preparation for greater things. God's timing is a perfect rhythm that guides our lives with wisdom and grace. Trusting God's timing means letting go of impatience and embracing hope. It means believing that He is working all things for good, even when we don't understand. This trust brings peace and confidence, knowing that everything will happen at the right moment, in the right way, and for the right reasons. God's timing is truly perfect, and resting in that truth brings a deep and lasting peace that no circumstance can shake. In all that we face, uncertainties, worries, and challenges, there is a steady truth that can anchor our hearts. God's care is personal and intentional. His timing is perfect, and His love surrounds us at every moment. When we choose to surrender our worries and place our faith in Him, we discover a peace that doesn't depend on our circumstances, but flows from confident hope. Life's difficulties are not obstacles meant to defeat us, but opportunities God uses to shape us for good. Trusting in this truth allows us to live with courage, peace, and unwavering confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, God will take care of us.